Hello, Booktube. It's Louise, the Big Head Bookworm. Love to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day, wherever it is you are and whatever it is you're doing. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back to Friday Reads. It's Friday Reads. It's Friday Reads. I'm here on a Friday. It's Friday Reads. Yay! And I'm actually here on a Friday. Woohoo! Friday. Friday. It's Friday. Yeah. Then Saturday, Sunday. Yep. You're welcome. You can have that in your head for the rest of the day. Yes, it is Friday. I've got hair in my mouth. Ugh. Yes, I did record yesterday. It was great. It was funny. Probably the best thing I've ever recorded. Wasn't that good. But the camera, it had another attack of the vapours and stopped working. Just went, oh, like that. And you actually get to see me go, no. So we're at a slightly different setup because I'm trying to shield the camera because it is actually sunny in here. So, yeah. And you're too far away from me to actually see what I look like in the viewfinder. So you're welcome. This is what you're getting. This is what you're getting. So I hope you've had a good week. I hope you've had a lovely one. Laundry continues going apace because it's dry. It's dry. We have had the occasional shower, but the weather has been really lovely this week. Perfect drying weather. So that's been good. We're going slowly but surely into another heat wave, having a heat wave. But we're all prepared for that now. Having done one, we're ready. We're ready. The country has girded its loins and we will get through this next heat wave. Parish notices. The parish echo dropped onto the doorstep yesterday, which is the kind of village magazine. Different than the parish news, which is more Church of England based. The parish echo is all the other stuff. It's the barbecues, it's the village fete. But if you can grab a copy, I highly recommend Diary of a Demolition. Yeah, gives all the history as to why the village hall has been demolished, and the procedure. And then there's a very interesting side to the article, which is from the perspective of those doing the demolition, which I didn't know I needed to know. So if you have 5 minutes to spare and you can grab a copy, highly recommend. Well worth your time, that Diary of a Demolition. Yes. So how's your week? Our week has been brilliant. Our week has been totally brilliant for two particular reasons. Ignore the kind of sun here. Two particular reasons. First reason, the teenager passed their driving test yesterday. Woo! Yay! Yes, I cannot tell. I'm all of a fizz still because the teenager has passed their driving test. The husband and I are so proud of them, pleased, and secretly so relieved, because the idea of trying to work out how to get a test before they go off to university, it's unlikely that we would get one. And then how to keep the momentum going. The husband and I were talking about it last night, how we both saw getting our driving license as freedom, as a way of an independence, because both of us lived in villages and it was a way of us getting out and not having to rely on anybody, and just the ability to go and do things, on our own. Whereas our lovely teenager doesn't seem to have that drive to do that. They're much more homebody, or just go to where they know. Whereas we were more adventurous souls, I guess. They're still only 18 and there's still plenty of time. But it was interesting how both of us saw having the keys and being able to go in the car on our own and just go somewhere as just brilliant. So it's quite interesting, the different reactions. So we're really grateful for the fact that they've passed their test. They've got that now, back pocket, ready to go. So really pleased. We sent them out yesterday afternoon in the car so that they would have that kind of momentum. And so either today or tomorrow we'll get them going out. So we're going to get them going out regularly, so they get more comfortable with going out on their own. So yeah, really pleased, so pleased. So we went out last night to celebrate. also, the second wonderful piece of news is that the husband has published a book. Yes, he's written and published a book, and it came from a suggestion of a listener to the podcast that we did. So we did a podcast called Spooky Tales Podcast, which is telling stories, the husband research a story about a haunting somewhere, normally in the British Isles. And he would tell it and I would kind of react to it. And they were kind of 20, 30, 40-minute podcasts, which we really enjoyed doing. We did quite a lot around lockdown. Not that it was a lockdown project, but it was, we did do it then. And somebody said, oh, these sounds like they would be really good, with really good stories for a book. And it sat in the husband's head. Anyway, he started a year ago putting it together. And it was published. It was published on Kindle last week. And this is what it looks like. I'll put a proper picture of it. It's Spooky Tales, True Supernatural Encounters from Britain and Beyond by the husband. It doesn't say the husband. Actually see his name. So I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him. The book is brilliant to read. Of course, I'm going to say that, but it really is. And I have just been loving reading that. I've been loving reading it. So he's put it together. It's published on Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited if you have that, last week. And it comes out as a paperback next Tuesday. So I will hopefully next Friday Reads actually have a physical copy that I can show you. And then he's going to do the audiobook. And my husband has got the perfect voice for an audiobook. So, so proud. So what a week. What a week. The teenager, the husband, just doing so well. So well. They're both, it's just, really wonderful. Really wonderful. So so those are my news for the week. And Diary of a Demolition. I mean, what more? What more could you want? I could actually just stop now and say, that's it, Friday Reads, done. And it would be the best episode. So, yeah. Oh, so good. Anyway, let's get on, talk about the books. Let's talk about books, baby. I'm actually not going to tell you what I've been reading this week. Well, we know partly what I've been reading this week, Spooky Tales. But I am going to talk about some classics. This is Friday Read Classics version, because beginning of the year I was talking to one of my brothers. I've got two older brothers. My brother and my sister are both bookworms like myself. I am probably the most bookwormy of all of us bookworms, but they are pretty much like bookworms as well. My sister has published books or is a published author to do with her work. She's a psychologist, and so she's published books about psychology. And my other brother, I think he wrote a book. He wrote a novel. I think he tried to get it published. I'm not sure if he did, but he's gone down that road. And my other brother was never a reader. He would only ever read if it was to do with kind of school or college or work, along those days. He wouldn't read for pleasure particularly. Anyway, he's semi-retired now, and he decided in a particular way that he would start reading, and he would start by reading the 100 classics you should read before you die, which is a very, very typical thing of him to do. Not just pick up a book and read it. It would be, 100 classics that you should read before you die. And he's decided to go through this list. He is going to read all 100. He will do it. I know he will do it. Nobody reads all 100. He will do it. But he's discovered a real love of reading classics through doing this. And so was talking to me about it. And he was saying, have you read this? Have you read that? Loved this. That was okay. He's read a lot of Dickens. Really found a taste for Dickens, which is amazing. I said to him, have you read The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas, which is like one of my most favourite classics, and one I recommend to people. It's huge. It's a big blockbuster. Puts people off because of the size of it, but it's so good. It's so good. He said no. Then I got a message saying, I read it, I devoured it, so good, book of the year. I was like, thank you very much. Girl still got it, girl still knows. But there are three that he mentioned. Actually, there were loads that he mentioned, but there were three in particular that he mentioned that he thoroughly enjoyed and recommended he said, have you read them? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure I have. I'm sure I've read them. But had I? And then when it came to it, no, I hadn't read them. I hadn't read them at all. And it was these three. So let's do this. So yes, it was these three. So we have The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We have Bram Stoker's Dracula and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And I was sure that I had read, I was positive I'd read the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Wasn't sure about Frankenstein, but definitely had read Dracula. No, hadn't read any of them. Knew the stories from media and films and just general kind of picking it up from culture, but I actually hadn't read them. So I went and read them. So the first one I read, which actually I listened to on Audible, but got this copy. I got these copies, all of them from Vinted. And they're, I mean, untouched. So yeah, what a picture that is. It is cool. The cover is a detail from the members of the family of Arthur Batu, 1886. It's a composite photograph. Is that not? It's just terrifying. It's a terrifying picture. Anyway, this is Robert Louis Stevenson's, published as a shilling shocker. Robert Louis Stevenson's dark psychological fantasy gave birth to the idea of a split personality. The story of respectable Dr. Jekyll's strange association with damnable young man Edward Hyde. So it is a novella. So I don't know whether you've ever read it. It's about 65 pages long. It is a novella. Oh, I did know the story, but I didn't at the same time. I would say I did know the story, but I didn't at the same time because it was more chilling and affecting than I knew it was going to be. I found it a little bit slow to begin with, so I actually listened to it, I think at 1.5 speed to begin with, and then got used to that, so I stayed with that. So I zipped through it, as you can imagine. Found it a bit slow to begin with, but once I was which would have been about 20 pages in, I was absolutely hooked to the story. Found it very disturbing. And it was interesting talking to the teenager afterwards, because the teenager studied it, about how I found it so disturbing. And considering that we would consider ourselves quite blasé about horror, we talk, the horror films that we have here and in the now, and the kind of saturation of news and kind of horror stories, you can imagine that we would be a bit more blasé about the horror than something that was written in the late Victorian era. I think it was 1883 or 84 something it was written. It really got me. It really affected me, this novella, and I can understand the power of it, not just because of the split personality and how that has, how we understand that in a way in this kind of book. I don't know if it started it off or it brought it to the kind of the culture. Yeah, phenomenal, but really, really fascinating. So it's a novella within the other story. So I think I am going to read the other ones because it makes me feel that there's something in there. His writing was so powerful. So yeah, that was So that was that one. Number one. Number two that I read was Frankenstein. I really thought I knew the story of this, to the point where I had to be reminded of the fact that it is actually Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein is the doctor that creates Frankenstein's monster. I had forgotten that. I had absolutely forgotten that. I think I knew the story from Hammer House of Horrors and from popular culture, and I really thought I knew the story, but then reading it, and I've also been to no, this isn't set in Whitby. I was thinking, I keep getting Frankenstein and Dracula mixed up, but no, Frankenstein's all set in Europe. Does actually come to the native Isles here, to me, the British Isles. Gosh, I found this a harder read in the fact I found they're all of them written as in stories, letters to somebody. They're written in that style, or journal entries, should you find me, should I be gone before you get this, before I have a chance to tell you, here is my journal entry. It's never just kind of a story. It's written like that. I found it in this one a bit wearisome and a bit overblown. The language in this one I found quite overblown, especially the descriptions of emotion were so heightened and so florid. I found it at times a little wearisome. I also found it difficult to spend this much time with such an unlikable character, and not Frankenstein's monster. It was Frankenstein himself. I found him deeply unlikable as a character, and I had a lot of struggle feeling any sympathy for him. And I believe we are supposed to feel sympathy, or are we, for Frankenstein? Or is it the monster that we're supposed to feel sympathy for? I'm not sure. It was quite something. As a book, it was unexpected in many ways. And so I'm very glad I've read it. Will I read it again? I'm not sure. We watched, is it Guillermo del Toro? Apologies, I'm butchering that. The Spanish director. He did a film of Frankenstein last year with that handsome chap, Isaac, whatever his face. You know what I mean. So that, and it won an Oscar for, I think it was for costumes. I mean, it was beautiful. Visually, it was amazing as a film, but horrifying. And there is a lot of horror in these. All three of them are classed as horrors. And they are. I'd forgotten how reading horror can be such a visceral experience. Watching the film was visceral. Reading it was kind of like, ugh. So, yeah. Interesting, fascinating. Very glad I've read it. Would I read it again? Not sure. Gorgeous edition that I got from Vinted. Yeah, there's some bargains out there if you're willing to look for them. Final one is Dracula. This is an English Penguin. This is a Penguin English Library edition, as is the Frankenstein. Cover design by Coralie Bickford Smith. I mean, can we just? So beautiful. So beautiful. I read this one with my eyes. Oh. About halfway through, I'd had enough. It's in sections. The first section, which is when the Jonathan Harker visits Transylvania to advise Count Dracula on a London home. That was so brilliantly written and beautifully paced, and I was there. And there were times in the book that I would have that where I would be like, oh gosh, but it, I can't, stop reading it. I really want to read it. But there were other times I found a little bit slow. The male-female roles in it, I know there is a kind of a period of misogyny in it that it talks about, that it is done deliberately to kind of, and then there's a resolution. I still found that there was some underlying kind of what the men do and what the women do, kind of the kind of male and female roles in it, I found a bit irritating. But it is very much of its time, and I understand that. The horror of what Dracula is stunning. I mean, obviously, Bram Stoker took the idea of vampires from folklore, so he didn't create the idea of vampires, but I think he added so much to the mythology, and the mythology that we know about from vampires, is so. It didn't realise. Actually, I think is it getting hot again? Oh my god, it's getting hot. So I'm gonna have to make this quicker, because I think the thing's getting hot. It's all right, little camera. It's all right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. Yeah. So really loved it. Really loved it. I'm frightened that everything's going to go suddenly. Really loved it. Thought it was brilliant. Love the idea of it. Glad I read it. going to have to sort out what to do with my camera, because I can't keep having this when my camera keeps getting hot. But it was brilliant. I did enjoy it. Would highly recommend. This was my second favourite out of my classics. Did I know the stories? Vaguely. Is there so much more to the stories? Yes. So those are the three that I read. There are others that I read, but those are the three that I want to show you about that I've read this year. Yeah. So while the camera's still working, I'm going to say bye-bye. Sorry about the sudden end to this, but yeah. Well, this has been lovely, Booktube. Well done to the teenager. Oh, well done to the husband. Yeah, been a great week. So yeah, this has been lovely, Booktube. Let's do it again. Bye.